remember the questions? We started with this to try to have brought about this diagram, although the question does not demand that this diagram be drawn. One of the questions was, state one function each of the following parts of the neurons. And we'll remind ourselves other names of neurons. The question says neurons. And we told ourselves neuron is also known as urinary tubule and also known as uniferous tubules. And the part that is very required for us to write the functions is glomerulus, Bowman capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, and distal convoluted tubule. Then I made a request of somebody who can help us to label this. Come and make a trial. Yes. What's the name? What? You did the biology. Somebody did from my phone, and there's only one person. Who is Judy with? It's not around. Is it that tall boy? Thank you. Can somebody give me a clap? My darling, will you give me the corrections? What's the name? Huh? Victoria. What do you want to level there?
Like the lines are crossing.
No, let the line crossing. We'll still correct that. I'm after the leveling. Is that one correct then? That one you're trying to clean, is it correct there?
It's supposed to be here.
Okay.
And this one is supposed to be the Bowman capsule. This one is supposed to be the glomerular feed. This one is supposed to be the glomerular feed.
That's what he labeled. That's what he labeled. But to me, it's still wrong. The glomerular filtrate. Okay? Related to me.
Distal convoluted to the urethra, then the
branch of the renal vein. Okay, thank you. Now, like I said, a clap. Yesterday we discussed where he wrote glomerular filtrates. There shouldn't be any filtrates there. That is glomerulus. Though it's wrong. Now the distance between the line where it ended and where it started, that's your proximal convoluted tube, must not exceed a dot. There's something mentioned, your lines of labeling shouldn't have crossed each other. Like here, here. Maybe we'll talk about that much tomorrow to bring us, remind us also. Here, quite alright, this is the proximal convoluted, the Bowman capsule, which is okay. The proximal convoluted tube is not here. That place you label is supposed to be the blood vessel. Now inside there is a mass of blood capillaries. That's inside the cup-shaped structure, which is the glomerulus, is a mass of blood capillaries. And that mass of blood capillaries found inside there is what we call the glomerulus. Now when you talk about the filtrates, already probably you might know the function of the glomerulus. What's the function? Just from the question, what's the function of it? We did this in SS2 total, yes? Stand up. Stand up, stand up. Filter waste material. Even those material allowed to pass through it, they are waste. Stand up. Now the question is, state the function each of glomerulus, proximal convoluted tube, vesical convoluted tube, and there's another one there. We wrote it yesterday. The glomerulus is to filter waste. Aisha? Their function, quite alright, is to filter, but no materials are not needed. They are filtering the useful ones. Bishop, what's the structure? What's the structure? This structure? The nephron. I will call it urinary tube. I will call it uniferous tube. Either we'll call it uniferous tube, or we'll call it urinary tube, or we'll call it nephron. These are the three main things. And uniferous tube, that the kidney is functioning, is inside the kidney on both sides. And that nephron happens to be the functional units of the kidney. So if anything happens to it, the kidney is packed up. I hope you remember that. Now when we ask the function of the uniferous tube, the uniferous tube will know that it is found inside of the Bowman capsule, which is a cup structure. Now, moving in there, there are a lot of substances that are coming from the kidney, that is inside of the kidney. You know, they are found inside of the kidney. There are a lot of substances that are moving into the urinary tube, which is found scattered inside the kidney. Now, only the useful ones are allowed to pass the glomerulus, which is acting as a filter. So to separate the ones that is needed and the ones that is not needed. And those ones that are not needed, that doesn't mean that they are waste, like creatinine, but they are not allowed to pass the glomerulus. They still go back into the kidney. But there are about 6 fine substances, useful ones, that are allowed to pass. Namely, 1. They are not waste. They are useful. One is what? Uncle. One is what? What's that your name again? Huh? Glucose. 1, 2. They are not waste, they are useful. 2. Mineral salt, yes. 3. Hold on. Stand up. Urea, 4, 3. The next one. What about 3? Remaining. Uncle. Remind me your name. Samuel, I did do. Remaining 3. What? Amino acid, okay? Remaining 2. What?
Water.
What did you just say?
Water.
Water, okay? Remaining 1. Yeah. Remaining 1.
Blessings.
Hmm?
Blessings.
Okay, help us. Plasma solids. These are plasma solids. These are useful substances that are allowed to pass. What Merlos is doing is to separate those useful ones that are needed and the ones that are not needed. So those ones goes back to the kidney and goes where they are supposed to carry out their function. Am I communicating? So by the time they pass through it, you know you labeled glomerular filtrates. When those ones are allowed to pass glomerulus and enter into the capsular space, and that is this here. They call the glomerular filtrates. So those substances we call them the glomerular filtrates. Now when we talk about, one might say, what is the cause? Remember we're trying to talk about the function of the glomerulus. 1, it's involved in ultrafiltration. The next one is Bowman capsule. Which part is the Bowman capsule? Which you have labeled. And that is the one with the cup-shaped structure that contains the glomerulus, which is a mass of blood capillaries found in it. Now you have labeled, this is a branch of renal arteries that carries these substances into the kidney. Remember, generally, the blood vessels that carry substances to the kidney is the renal artery. Remember that? And the one that takes and it carries oxygenated blood. And the one that carries substance away from the kidney that is not needed is what? The renal vein. Now here, if we're talking about the cause, when we say the cause of the urinary tubule in terms of process of carrying out its function as an kidney carrying out its function as an excretory organ, the process and what is needed to do that is the urinary tubule or the nephron. Now the cause of the nephron means the structure of the nephron or the uniferous tubule, and which starts with a cup-shaped structure, which is called the Bowman capsule. The Bowman capsule now leads to a convoluted tubule or a cord structure known as the proximal convoluted tubule. There are about 2 convoluted tubules there. That's the one. You said something, you wrote something there. Pigeon body. I know if you remember, you're bringing up the structure of the kidney when cut into 2. We have the outermost layer, which is called what? The cortex. And you have the other part, which is called the medulla. Now, around the medulla, I don't know where you got this, the pigeon body. So with this diagram, this side here is located at the cortex, and this side is located at the cortex, and this side is found where? In the medulla. So there must be ascending. You wrote loop of Hellings. I don't know if the spelling is correct here. Is the spelling correct?
Yes.
You said yes. Is the spelling loop correct? Huh? What is not supposed to be there? E. Loop of Helens or Helens loop. We have descending parts, we have ascending parts. You know, this comes from here. So the Bowman capsule leads to the first conflated tube, which is known as the proximal conflated tube, which now leads to the U-shaped structure, the descending part of it, and also known as the Helen loops. And from there, it goes up, back. Here is found inside the cutis, and then inside the medulla, and then moves up to another coiled tube, which is called the distal conflated tube, which now connects to a collecting dot, which is this, and which finally joins the pelvis, and the pelvis connects to the ureter, and then connects to the bladder to the ureter, and the urine that is formed within there will trickle this and enter the pelvis, from the pelvis to the ureter, from the ureter to the bladder. When the bladder fills up, the walls of the bladder inside contracts. And then the urine, which is the main waste product, now released to the stereo via the urethra. You always understand that. Now, coming to the cause on its function, we have the renal artery, a branch of the renal artery that carries substances into the kidney. And the ones that are allowed to pass, we have mentioned them. We have the glucose, we have the amino acid, plasma solute, water, urea, and mineral salts. They are allowed to pass into the glomerulus, into the capsular space. And that one that is allowed to pass, which is supposed to be the residue. Is that what you call it? When you separate the salts, one is the residue, the other is the filtrate. So which one is allowed to pass? The filtrate, is it? The one that remains is called the residue. At least a little bit of chemistry that I know. And not that those ones are useful, they are not needed there. So they need to go back to the kidney and go to where they belong to, where they'll carry out their function. So after that, when allowed to pass into this here has carried out a process which is known as ultrafiltration. When we come to the process of urine formation, or the kidney carry out the function of excretion, it involves three major processes. The first one is what we call ultrafiltration, the second one is what we call selective reabsorption, and the third one is what we call tubular secretion or hormonal secretion. So what happened here is the ultrafiltration, which means the glomerulus in its function carries out the function of ultrafiltration. The second function of stroke, because the only one that is needed, is the filtration of some useful substances that are allowed to pass into the capsular space. The second one is the Bowman capsule. The Bowman capsule appears as a cup-like structure. What is the function of the Bowman capsule? It contains the glomerulus, which act as a filter, and it is within that Bowman capsule that ultrafiltration occurs. Is that clear? Is that clear? And when we said selective reabsorption starting, because of this has been asked as a question, I even have it somewhere here, where they are asked to describe how the kidney carries out the function of excretion. When you come to the function of the kidney, I think there are three major functions of the kidney. Who remembers? Apart from secretion, there are two other ones. The function of the kidney. I said apart from secretion. The function of the kidney. Osmoregulation remains one. Acid-base maintenance, thank you. So with this one in its function, after the Bowman capsule, where ultrafiltration has been carried out, the next thing that follows is selective reabsorption. And one of the functions there is one of the parts of the urinary tube or the nephron that was asked to find the function is the proximal convoluted tube. And coming here, from the proximal convoluted tube, selective reabsorption occurs. What do you mean by selective reabsorption occurs? That is the different parts of the urinary tubule there will take some substances that they need or that need to be removed. And if allowed to pass, or they could not reabsorb it or select it, not allowing it to go out to the waste that is already getting to be formed, then which means the urinary tubule and that area has a problem. And if nothing is done early to curb it, it might lead to the failure of the kidney. Did I say something now? So when you get to the proximal complacent tubule, we are selective reabsorption. When we say selective, those substances, there are parts that will remove part of them that seem to be useful then. So at the proximal complacent tubule, water and sugar or glucose will be reabsorbed. Now leaving the other ones as they're passing through the urinary tubules, that tiny fine tubules. So at this stage, at this place, at the proximal complacent tubule, we have water plus sugar or glucose being reabsorbed. Now getting to the Henle loops, you have the plasma solutes, the amino acids, plus water being reabsorbed at the Henle loops. Am I communicating? The plasma solutes, the amino acids being reabsorbed together with water being reabsorbed at the Henle loops. Now this continues, still enters the ascending aspect. When it gets to distal conflated tubule, which is another part that will ask to find out the function, selective reabsorption occurs there as well. And what is being reabsorbed? We have salts from the mineral salts plus water being reabsorbed at the distal conflated tubule. Did I say something now? And remember that urea contains ammonia. Am I saying something now? So which adds, and also amino acid contains it. So this one is being reabsorbed here. The remaining parts of the salt, as it keeps moving, or getting within that period, remember these things that you see circulating or around the conflated tubule are the blood vessels. This renal artery carries them together with the oxygenated blood. On getting to this place, water and salt is being reabsorbed. The deoxygenated blood now leaves and goes out via the renal vein, now left with some little amount of salt and still water that will be collected by the collecting ducts. What is now remaining is that waste. After all these things have been removed, which we call urine, will now leave the ducts and trickle down via the ureter into the bladder. Even as you sit down, this process is going on. Am I communicating? So that's why every part of it absorbs water. And at the time this water goes on, you find out that the amount of water will reduce and need to be replaced. And that now brings about, and when it is not replaced, still, it will now have an increase in the amount of salt remaining because it still needs water. And that is what is now brought about the reabsorption of water from the surroundings of the kidney tubule into the kidney tubule by osmosis. And that's osmotic pressure. After this has been done, when the water content, the concentration of the content becomes so high and it needs to be diluted, so water is needed. That is where we now have the tubular secretions that is being involved, coming into the process. Now, what is this tubular secretion, or what we call the hormonal secretion? At the period that you have every part of them, every part of this nephron absorbing water, definitely the content of the water remaining will be very low and it will become highly concentrated. So we need water inside so as to have enough for the processes to take place and the urine that is formed. So that will result to reabsorption of water. Then we'll have what we call osmotic nerve, being caused by osmotic process, which will now send a message to a part of the brain. And that part of the brain is what we call the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus will stimulate, let me say within the pituitary gland, will stimulate a hormone being secreted by the pituitary gland known as antidiuretic hormone. This antidiuretic hormone will now be secreted into the blood, which will be transported to the kidney part at that place. It will now stimulate the reabsorption of water from the surroundings of the kidney tubule into the kidney tubule, so as to dilute that high concentrated content found in the kidney tubule, just to increase the amount of water for the process to still go on comfortably well. So that hormone that is being produced at that particular time brings about what we call tubular secretion or hormonal secretion. Is that clear? Yes. Do I repeat myself? Yes. From the beginning? Okay. Now, what we have explained now is almost the process involved in the production of urine, or the process which they will tell you, explain how the kidney carry out the function of excretion. Now, within the process, summary, if you see it and look at it inside your past question paper, they will tell you that after ultrafiltration has taken place, I know you understand that part. The next thing is selective reabsorption. And they will tell you that selective reabsorption, substances like those useful substances, that is the glomerular filtrate, water, glucose, mineral salt, plasma solute, amino acid, will be reabsorbed, one at the proximal convoluted tubule, the hairy lobes, and the distal convoluted tubule, and the remaining part of it will be taken by the collecting duct. Now, after which the content becomes more concentrated. If you remember the definition of osmosis, who remembers the definition of osmosis? Because that pressure there is being caused by osmotic pressure, so as to allow water to move. And that the water is not enough. It is being corrected by osmotic nerve that will send a message to a part of the brain, which is around the hypothalamus, that contained around it now, or linked or connected to the pituitary gland. I know the pituitary gland produces a lot of hormones, and that is why it is called the master gland. So there are so many of them, of which antidiuretic hormones, ADH, is part of the hormones produced by the pituitary gland. So that will now stimulate the reabsorption of water. You know, hormones. Can somebody remind the definition of hormones? That's one of the questions in 2013 I want us to read. Can somebody define hormones for me? Let somebody define hormones. Quickly, make an attempt. Hormones. Don't be surprised if you see it in this your exam. Hormones, definition of hormones. Biological, chemical.
Biochemical enzymes that investigate certain actions and processes.
Okay, that's an attempt. Definition of hormone. Okay?
Hormone can be defined as chemical or mechanical substances body and are secreted into parts where they are needed or stored.
Okay, something is still missing somehow. That's a good attempt, real good attempt.
Yeah, biochemical enzymes that are produced in
Enzymes, no?
the biological
Biochemical
substances
substances.
that are produced in certain parts of the body and are transported to where they are needed, stored, or excreted.
Okay, I still want another, that's a good attempt. I still want the definition. Okay?
Hormones are about biochemical substances that are secreted by the brain glands into the bloodstreams to where they are stored or needed.
Okay, that's another good attempt. Now, when we talk about general definitions of hormone, you want to try? Definition of hormones. I'm not talking about now animal hormones, but general definition. Minute quantity or small quantity in one part of the body of the organism and transported to another part where they will carry out their vital effects with the regulation of the internal environment of the organism. One, the definition I gave now is a general definition because plants, they produce hormones. But when you said hormones are endocrine substance, now you are specifically going for animals. Produce in minute quantity in one part of the body, secreted in another part, and being transported. You can bring in the blood if it is necessary, because the blood is the main transport medium. Transported to a target organ or a specific organ where they will carry out their vital effects. So it's in only animals that will have endocrine glands, and these are the glands secreted outside the duct, DUCT. I know there are glands secreted inside the duct. Do you know the glands? The glands that are secreted inside the duct, DUCT. The glands secreted inside a duct or a gut. What did you say? God bless you. Exocrine glands, they are secreted inside, and that is example is the salivary glands. They are being secreted inside the alimentary canal. For those, the other ones, which is endocrine, they are secreted inside the stream, the bloodstream. Did I say something now? That will be transported. And that one has a specific time of production. But the exocrine is almost done at all times, so long as you're eating. And these are the ones, the example of the endocrine is salivary gland, gastric gland, intestinal glands, all those glands that are found that are involved in the production of enzyme. So their secretion is the enzyme. But when it comes to the endocrine glands, which is an animal, the secretion is hormone. But the question is, when we talk about general definition, that we say they are organic substance produced in minute or small quantity in one part of the body of the organism and transported to another part or target organ, or where they carry out their vital effects or function to the regulation of the internal environment. Did I say something now? That is the pure definition of hormone. And we can equally say that hormones are organic messengers. You send them on errand. So the production of hormone has a specific time when it is being needed. For example, let me use the commonest one. The hormone responsible for the development of the secondary sexual characters in both male and female during puberty stage. It cannot be produced when the child is born. Did I say something else? Well, when we talk about the endocrine glands, for example, the ones who have, once a baby is born, and that child is sucking, and the sucking milk, there is a secretion done, more especially at the stomach area by the gastric gland. What is that secretion? Renin, thank you. And that's an enzyme that will cause a coagulation of the milk before it can be acted on by the skin. Did I say something now? So that is that. So when we say the enzymes are organic substance, we are giving general definition that have to involve plants as well. Because, sorry, hormones. Because plants will have plant hormones too. And the production is done also when it is being needed, so long as germination is coming up. Is that clear? And good. Did we say something now? So it is that hormone now that brings about tubular secretion or hormonal secretion, which is now responsible to stimulate the reabsorption of water. When it is being sent to a specific, it is produced by the endocrine gland, by the pituitary gland, and that is antidiuretic hormone. Where? At the part of the brain, and then transported where? To the kidney, where it will carry out its vital organ. What does it do? To stimulate the reabsorption of water from the surroundings of the kidney tube into the tube with the help of osmosis as a process. Do you say something? Shotio? Shotio? So these are the functions we have not mentioned here. So my darling, I would expect you to write this malphigian body. There is only one specific area within the body of an animal that will come across the word malphigian. Where? What's his name again? Uncle Philip. Does it have Oluwa attached to it? Oluwa. So you are an addition to joy for your family. Are you bringing that joy? Question. So let's continue from, like I said, minute produced by the pituitary gland, which is found attached at the midbrain, that's the said part of the brain, and then transported to a target organ, which is the kidney, where they'll carry out their vital effects for the regulation of the internal environment. I'm sure you came across this word when you took statistics. Good. So that is that about this. The healing loops. So where you label, this thing you label is supposed to be part of the blood vessel. This U-shaped structure here is what we call the healing loops, or the group of healing. Shorty. So try as much as can. We have just discussed what we discussed, and we have discussed urine formation. The process involved in the production of urine. We have also discussed is the same thing if they ask you to mention or explain how the kidney carry out the function of excretion. It still has to do with the formation of urine. But what if you're asked to, like I mentioned it, I'm still going to ask those two people, Samuel, Fikuayomi, is that Balon? Any Balon?
Yes.
Okay. Balon is this one. Shebi is the Balon. What's your name? Afis. What's the sound? It's Balon. Chauffeur denied. Are you four of you stand up? Why don't I come and take a marker? Using an annotated diagram.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Using an annotated diagram. The diagram is already there. You carry out other parts. 2003. I think it's been long they asked that question, and that has to do with respiration. That has to do with respiration. And that is 2013. Are you opening your textbook to look for 2013?
No, my
There's no biology. 2013, not this one. The one I want to mention. Oh yeah, Bola, come here. Fikuayomi has tried. When you finish, if you don't get it well, someone will take over from you. Be fast, be fast. I said, using an annotated diagram only. I want to know whether you know it's an annotated diagram. I've already drawn the diagram. Only explain urine formation. Annotated diagram only explain urine formation. Madam, we tried it yesterday, and we were trying to do it yesterday before. What I Or they might ask using an annotated diagram only explain feeding in amoeba proteus. You know amoeba proteus? You know amoeba proteus? Good. Using an annotated diagram explain feeding in amoeba proteus. So this is using an annotated diagram explain. I have drawn the diagram. Okay. What it means is that you label, you write what happens at that place. You understand it now. Okay. My darling, I love that when you're missing a keyword, apart from oxygenated blood enters. It's only oxygenated blood that enters it. I have mentioned. Thank you. Now you have an idea. You are doing an idea. Continue. God bless you. Anxiety. We don't pray for such. The spreading of glomerulus. No. The spreading of glomerulus. Who is laughing? Somewhere, come and tell you. Come and tell you when class when we did it. Come and do the rest. You're laughing. Where is Samuel? Drop that note. Nobody can help. What that is? In fact, you know what's like. Your line of diagram must not cross because I've corrected that. What are you doing? Why writing where the diagram is? Can't you see where his line stops? But now, do you know what happens then? At the Bowman capsule? Do you know what happens then? At the Bowman capsule? Who knows what happened at the Bowman capsule?